Hello, my name is Michael Highsmith, and this is a video tour of my model railroad, the Rainier Great Western. It's an HO scale railroad following Milwaukee track, mostly in western Washington, but we can go from Pasco to Seattle or backwards, either way. And today we're going to do that. This is a collaborative effort of 6 great individuals and one who unfortunately has passed. We hope you enjoy your tour. We hope you come back real soon. Thank you for watching. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to follow this train from Pasco over to Seattle. It leaves the yard, crosses through the double slip, and onto the main.
That's outside track.
Now it approaches the lowest level of our helix. It's a double track helix, 6 levels. It takes about 12 minutes to make the run. One of the features of our railroad is 2 infrared cameras that allow us to watch the train circumnavigate the helix. After you've made the run up the helix, perhaps as much as 8 to 12 minutes depending on the direction, you come out at one of the highest points of the railroad, roughly 50 inches off the floor. Now we're heading to a location we call the cut. Originally, the plan called for us to cross through the backdrop to the other side of the peninsula. Nobody liked that idea. We couldn't figure out how to make it scenically work. Then one day a gentleman said, why don't you just merely run the backdrops past each other on either side of the track? And we all fell in love with the idea. It's a very scenic location on this railroad. We're very pleased with the results. Once through the cut, we come to Palmer Junction. You can see that we have 2 cars there, log cars, waiting to be switched out at the mill up on the other side of the railroad. We'll get to that later. Here we are at Palmer Junction, going into one of only 2 passing sidings on the entire railroad. We're now heading for the Cascade foothills. We'll run through the first of 2 tunnels, and in between our snow shed. Very happy with the way the snow shed turned out. One of our crew members, Doug, did a fantastic job scenicking it, making it look realistic. We're going to get security fences up there at some point. On the second tunnel, we're crossing under Mount Rainier and emerging on the south wall of the building. It's about a 30-foot run to the other end. Here we're coming up on an old-fashioned cornfield meet. The Maple Valley local is waiting for dispatcher clearance to enter the town, so he's holding steady on his main. We're going by on ours. Now our next stop is Franklin Junction. As we round the bend into Franklin Junction, the town of Franklin is off to the left. You'd take the lower leg of the Y in order to get there, but because we're just a grain drag, we're not heading that way today. Franklin, which is actually a ghost town and has been for nearly a generation, is somewhat different in our freelance railroad. It's a thriving coal location with 2 flood loaders and multiple other industries. We'll take a look at it in a little while. But let's continue our way down to Seattle. As we progress along the west wall, we go past the old CNW section chief's home and his farm. He's enjoying retirement, best we know.
7:13.
Now we're coming to the location on our railroad that we call Henry's. And it's not an apostrophe S, it's just an S. In the days of the Columbia Puget Sound, it crossed over the NP on its way into Black Diamond. And so that's what we've represented here. Yes, in the modeling world, we're going to circle back around and go right underneath it, but we don't care. This is the highest point in our railroad. It's the 4th level up and 58.5 inches above the floor. As we make our way down grade into Black Diamond, I'm reminded of the benefits of the back EMF equipped decoder. Sure makes a nice smooth transition from upgrade to downgrade. And here we are pulling into Black Diamond. We're against the north wall, and we're passing under the chute for old mine number 11. First thing we do is we cross over the Molzon Bridge, built by my friend, the late Dick Molzon. He was a great friend, a great mentor, and a magnificent model railroader, as you can see for yourself. We're pleased to have made this the centerpiece of the Rainier Great Western. Here we're looking northeast towards the actual downtown of Black Diamond. the Black Diamond Bakery, and the old CPS station, which is now a museum, are there in the background. Did you notice anything interesting about Old Glory at the mine? One of the beauties of this railroad, and a completely unintended consequence, when the air conditioning comes on, it makes Old Glory wave. But as you can see in this shot, it also makes some of the scenery in the trees wave. Not sure we're all excited about that part. We'll have to deal with that somewhere down the road. Here we're coming into Henry's on the lower level. Once we get through Henry's, we're going to make a turn against the west wall and come out after about a run of about 12 feet through a tunnel. We'll come out on the other end and onto what we call the peninsula. Here our train emerges out onto the peninsula for the first time. This is level number 3. You can see part of Franklin at the top of the screen, and our second level down below. Okay, what are we looking at here? Oh my, the foamers are out in force taking their photographs. Hope you guys get a really good shot. Hope you got enough time to sit around for that 4046 KCS down there. Not sure he's leaving anytime soon. As we emerge out on the other side of the peninsula, the south side of the peninsula, we're making our long run into Maple Valley. We're going to pass the timber spur. That's where all of our good friends, the Jippo loggers, bring their logs, and they're loaded up for shipping to the mill. Here we're going to cross over the second of our 2 bridges. We call the 2-bridge scene. This is where we saw the Maple Valley local a little while ago. You can see where we tried to create a little bit of separation. The back track is BNSF track. It has a different color ballast, and it's concrete tie. The front track is our RGW track. It's brown tie with old NP ballast on it. Now we're going to come back in front of the foothills and make our way into Maple Valley. Maple Valley is a small town. It's kind of a waypoint in between bigger cities. But in our case, we're going to put a little bit of industry here. A co-op grain, a co-op fruit, and a little bit of a powerhouse. Gives us things to switch. We're also coming up on Maple Valley Junction. In the real world, the Milwaukee split right here. The Columbia Puget Sound went into Black Diamond. The Milwaukee went east over the pass. You might have noticed we passed the timber cars waiting to be switched at the mill. And while we're going to pass that here shortly, we've tried to create a little bit of visual separation by putting the track to the mill in a cut. While we make our way down to Renton, our train will pass right past the Edwards and Bradford lumber mill. This is a wonderful scene put together by our good friend Bob Latha. He's moved to Portland now, so we won't be having him be our weekly member, but we'll miss him, and we'll miss his craftsmanship. It's exemplary. One other item, we're crossing over the top of the helix by going over this part of the railroad. Now we're going to head down into Renton. There's the helix entrance that we went past some 17 minutes ago. Now we make our final turn before we head to Renton. But first, we'll make our first crossing of the Cedar River. The bridge in the foreground is scratch built using Plastruck products. Very difficult, but well worth the effort. Here's our first industry in Renton. This is Pacific Car and Foundry, PACCAR for short. They built Kenworths and Peterbilts. Two of them are out there on display. And of course, Boeing. Lots of cars to switch there, including a 737 fuselage in the background.
713.
Now we're making our second crossing of the Cedar River, the lower Cedar. And in the background is the Renton City Library. It's actually over the Cedar River. It's a fascinating story. Now we're going to head around the corner and into the Renton Yard. The Renton Yard is our main classification yard. Everything that comes to any of the other locations you've already seen is going to come through this yard at one point or another. The Milwaukee used this as a small classification yard with only 3 tracks. The BNSF has essentially turned it into a single track that runs to and from the Boeing plant. We're going to make it a little bit larger and a little bit more industrious. If you look closely, you'll see that the train on the left is the Maple Valley local we were looking at earlier. He's already tied down and headed home for the evening. On the right, we have multiple industries that we can switch. This was an idea that was given to us by a local architect who's also a model railroader. He felt that visually we could put industry under the shelf rather than try to scenic the shelf and make it look right. We could never figure out a way to do it. So we took his suggestion and it worked out great. We're passing the Rainier Great Western Repair in Place rip shed, and you can also see our turntable. And the Maplewood Golf Course. Hope we're not disturbing their tee times. Now we're underneath the two-bridge scene and going by Miller Pond. Once again, we're back out on the peninsula. This time we're heading the opposite direction, of course, and we're on the south side, heading to the north side. Hey, there's my junior engineer. What's he doing over there? Frankly, he's running this train like a pro. Probably going to have to do away with the phrase junior engineer. This is a cutout on the end of the peninsula. We're technically in the middle of a tunnel here, but we added it for visual interest. And it doesn't hurt to be able to reach in there and grab a train if it derails for some unforeseen reason. Here we go past the KCS 4046, waiting on a crew change. He's not going anywhere anytime soon. Hope those rail fans are still getting good shots. Now we're going to turn and head east along the north wall. And our first sightseeing opportunity is on the High Bridge. We modeled this after the High Bridge on the Northern Pacific Line, BNSF nowadays, just east of Leicester. Our prototype doesn't have anything like this, but hey, it's model railroading. We're going to do what we want, right? Wayne built this scene. It's magnificent. We're about 33 minutes into our run. Now we're heading down underneath the peninsula where the Molzon Bridge and Black Diamond is located. Originally the plan was to run visibly outside of the Molzon Bridge down at its feet. But basically the geometry just didn't work in our favor, so we had to have hidden track through here. Oh well. You'll just have to take my word for it that this is one of the coolest super elevated curves ever. We emerge down at the bottom, go past the rock face, into another long tunnel to go back to the west end of the room. While there are an awful lot of great scenic views on this railroad, I know I'm bragging, I think this one's my favorite. We're getting awfully close to Black River Junction. That's the point where you can make a decision to go to Renton, which we just came from, to Tacoma, which is south, or north to Seattle. We're going to go north. And here's Black River Junction. If you need to go south to Tacoma, you're heading off to the right. We're not. We're heading to Seattle. That yellow area over there is South Seattle Yard. I keep getting asked why it's yellow. Well, basically, it's the first coat. And I'm going to put tape where I want all of the marking lines to be. All the border lines, all the parking stalls, everything. Then I'm going to paint it asphalt color and pull up the tape. We'll see how it goes. I've been told that's backwards. Maybe that's just me. As we descend into South Seattle Yard, this is the lowest point of the railroad, 22.5 inches off the floor. I'm kind of partial to those paints being our load of choice on those well cars. As we cross under Black River Junction, we're going to head all the way to the south wall. While we're still at 22.5 inches off the floor, this is what we call the return loop. It brings us back into our main staging yard, which we use as a working classification yard. I'm not really sure who laid this track, but I think that it was the crew on the night that they had all the beer out of my fridge. Actually, that might be the most prototypical track we've got in the whole place. We make our final turn into Seattle along the return loop. And here we are at our destination, Seattle, or Tacoma, depending on which way you went at Black River Junction. I hope you've enjoyed our trip around the Rainier Great Western. It's taken about 38 minutes start to finish. We've tried to shorten it a little bit here for sanity's sake, but I think you get the idea. We enjoy bringing it to you. We enjoy building it. We enjoy the hobby. We hope you do too. Thanks for joining us.